Mr. Nelson Mandela will be released at the Victor Verster prison on Sunday, the 11th of February at about 3 p.m.
Your tireless and heroic sacrifices have made it possible for me to be here today. I therefore place the remaining years of my life in your hands.
Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. And in today's video we're taking a look at Mandela, the man who inspired 1,000 songs. By 1990, many people on the planet had never known a world in which Nelson Mandela was a free man. The ANC leader and one of the most popular men on earth had been in prison for almost 27 years. He resisted several offers to regain his freedom by compromising and doing a deal with the Apartheid regime that had thrown him in jail since 1964. He became a global symbol of resistance to injustice and inspired a worldwide movement that rallied to the cause to free Mandela. Aside from the diplomatic and economic pressure put on South Africa, arts and culture took on a major role in the struggle. Reggae in particular, being conscious music, was the tip of the musical spear, and by the time Mandela was set free, on February 10, 1990, he had inspired thousands of powerful reggae anthems aimed at the apartheid regime or in praise of the man in their clutches. All across the globe, from Africa to Jamaica, the reggae onslaught was overwhelming. The spark for this musical war was the 1976 Soweto uprising, when more than 170 school children were killed in cold blood by South African police for protesting the introduction of Afrikaans as language of instruction in schools. This atrocity inspired the first known reggae anti-apartheid song by the Jamaican group The Mighty Travelers, titled South Africa, which was released in the same year in 1976. This was followed by Fire in Soweto, released in 1978 by Nigerian musician and EMI recording artist Sonny Okosu, a close friend and label mate of Peter Tosh. Fire in Soweto was a roaring success, both critically and commercially. Its impact was not in doubt, as the apartheid government banned the album of the same name when it was released that year. Also in that year, Okosu went on tour with Two Centimeters and Jimmy Cliff, and the floodgates were officially open. By the 1980s, not only was there a cultural embargo on South Africa, but 1 in 10 reggae albums had a line or entire songs dedicated to Mandela's imprisonment. This overwhelming flood of musical protests forced the cause down the throats of everybody. People in places thousands of miles away from Africa that barely knew where South Africa was had heard about Mandela, Soweto, and apartheid. Mandela hadn't been seen in 2 decades, except by a handful of people, but protests through music kept the consciousness going. It's often said that adversity inspires brilliance, and thanks to the struggle, we got to hear some of the greatest reggae songs written and produced in honor of the world's best known prisoner. The likes of Freedom Fighter by Half Pint, Wipe Out Apartheid by Johnny Osborne, and even lovers rock legend Sugar Minott, the song called Nago to Africa. So also the Junior Delgado, the Mighty Diamonds, UB40, Alpha Blondy, Aswad, Majek Fashek, and so many that are too numerous to mention in this video. The airwaves were actually choking with free Mandela reggae songs, and there were jokes back then that there was a whole industry built on the back of the movement, and that many singers wouldn't have a career anymore if Mandela was to be released. In truth, there were a lot of hangers-on on the movement, but their material lost relevance very quickly. Towards the end of the 80s, the pressure from the world on South Africa seemed to be yielding fruits as the apartheid regime began to soften under the leadership of the reformist president F.W. de Klerk, who took over in 1989 from hardliner P.W. Botha. And in February 1990, Mandela was released from prison to a rapturous welcome by the entire world, and not to mention musicians. For more than 2 decades, roots reggae musicians had crafted songs for his release, but now a new generation of artists were actually witnessing him get freedom. This new generation were not roots reggae artists, but dancehall musicians who were now the reigning thing, and they celebrated Mandela's release with music as well. Shabba Ranks recorded a track called Mandela Free on his 1990 album Just Reality. Barrington Levi also released a song called Mandela You're Free, same with Bounty Killer, Beanie Man, Cocoa Tea and Flower Gun. A compilation album called Reggae Mandela, put together by VP Records in 2019, compiled 36 of probably the best Mandela songs from before his release and after his release. Nelson Mandela passed on in December 2013, one of the most admired and popular men in modern history. His legacy as an activist and leader of South Africa, as well as him being the muse for thousands of reggae classics, will live forever. So there you have it. Thank you for watching the video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, Jah bless.